Tonight, the president arrives.
Well, we did it.
The first dance.
I did it my way.
The first night of a new moment in time. After a final wave goodbye. Your up-to-the-minute all-access pass to the black tie balls of the newest member of the President's Club.
Hear these words. You will never be ignored again.
Pageantry on one side, protests on the other.
Lord Trump's hate, he's our president!
And the voices of the people he's pledged to serve.
President Trump,
my hope for the country
is to protect,
inspires to look out for minorities,
bring us all together,
unite this country.
The inauguration of Donald J. Trump.
Donald John Trump.
And now, live from Washington, D.C., David Muir and Elizabeth Vargas.
Good evening, and it is great to have you with us live from Washington on this historic day. What a day it was. It's far from over, too. Donald Trump's presidency is not even 10 hours old, and he began celebrating just moments ago, not surprisingly, Elizabeth, to the tune My Way.
His first dance was at the Liberty Ball, and his first comments were there too tonight, comments of triumph and gratitude.
Well, we did it. We did. We began this journey, and they said we and me, we didn't have a chance, but we knew we were going to win, and we won.
And right before he got there tonight, he was already in the Oval Office signing executive orders preparing for the repeal of Obamacare. In his inaugural speech today, he pledged to give power back to the people and spoke of the Americans who feel forgotten. Tonight, you'll hear reaction here to President Trump's first and most important speech of his life. Those voices from all over the country coming up here.
And of course, all this came during a day of protests here in the Capitol as well. There were 217 arrests. Riot police fired tear gas canisters. There were reports of lots of vandalism. 6 police officers suffered minor injuries. We'll have much more on that later.
Also tonight, the American designer who dressed the First Lady. And we'll see what Americans were saying on social media all day today as well.
She looked gorgeous today.
She looked pretty good.
Really, really good. But right now, we've got live team coverage tonight. Our Cecilia Vega is at the Freedom Ball. Deborah Roberts is at the Trump Hotel, where the First Family plans to pop champagne corks at a private reception. And our own Bob Woodruff at the Salute to Our Armed Services Ball.
So let's go to Cecilia first to end that first dance tonight. Hey, Cecilia.
Hi, guys. What a long day for President Trump, and a long party for everybody in here. 22,000 people here in this room, a few thousand more at the Liberty Ball upstairs from us. You know, I got to tell you, a lot of Frank Sinatra covers being played here. We are waiting for the President and the First Lady to show up and do another dance here. I've even seen a few Make America Great Again hats here mixed in with all of these ball gowns. But I got to tell you guys, they've got the big screens playing down here. Everybody watched that first dance, and that is all they are talking about in here right now.
So I face the final curtain.
My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain.
I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and much more than this, I did it my way.
Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption.
I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and much more than this, I did it my way.
Yes, there were times
Cecilia, we know you're in the room there tonight. You witnessed this dance and the inaugural speech. Millions were watching today. Hundreds of thousands gathered here in Washington. But the first dance is always such a traditional part of that first night. What was the body language like? Of course, what was the mood in the room?
Well, it's kind of funny, David. I've got to tell you, we've been talking with people here in this room, and some people told us they didn't necessarily want to see Donald Trump dance. They wanted to hear him sing. What everybody did want to see is what First Lady Melania Trump is wearing. And look, by all accounts, she looks absolutely stunning. What's not to love a supermodel in a gorgeous white dress? She just looks gorgeous.
Hearing that Melania Trump's dress, the white dress tonight at the inaugural ball, is designed by Carolina Herrera, a very well-known high-end designer. And she looks stunning in it, as she did today all day long in that powder blue suit designed by Ralph Lauren.
I think she is going to end up being one of these first ladies that becomes a fashion icon. And as we all wait to see what kind of role she carves out for herself in this new life for her in this White House, we will follow her through that journey. She said that she wants to take on cyberbullying, of course, a big issue for her. And guys, everybody watching to see how all of this plays out. Of course, everybody in here very excited to see them tonight.
You know, the enemies.
President Trump and the First Lady now at the Freedom Ball. Let's listen in.
Bypassing dishonest media, right? We go, wah. So, but I just want to thank you. We started out, we weren't given a great chance, but we knew we were going to win. And, you know, it took 2 weeks before we went to #1. Not a long time. And the first week was composed, in terms of the phony polls, was composed of 2 days. So we were at #1, and we stayed there the entire route during the primaries. And then, boy, did I work. Those last 4 weeks, I worked. Oy, ay, ay. That was some job. We did a good job together. And I'll tell you what, many of the people in this room went to those rallies with us, right? They went to those rallies. I saw one person on television tonight, incredible family. Her and her husband, she said, we've gone to 42 Trump rallies. I said, 42? 42? But we did. We had a lot of people that went to a lot of the rallies, and it showed up. And, you know, when we went in, I really felt that last week in particular, I said, how are we going to lose? How can we lose? It's just too much. There has never been a movement like this anywhere in the world. There's never been anything like this. So I am so looking forward. I just left, actually, the Oval Office because our great General Mad Dog Mattis was approved tonight. The Senate approved. He was first. And I went to sign, and Mike Pence, who's coming out in a second, signed. You saw what happened, right? He just swore him in. And General Kelly, the border, oh, that border, we're going to have a border again. And he was approved tonight by the Senate. So we're starting to work, and we're going to do a great job. We are not going to let you down. Remember the theme, Make America Great Again, and Make America Great Again. I'll tell you what, I've added, since I got to know so many people in this country, greater than ever before. It will happen. So I want to thank everybody for being with us and for sticking with us. And it's been an amazing experience. And now the fun begins, okay? Now the fun begins. We're going to do a really good job. And I will be fighting every single day for you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, and have a great time. Thank you.
And now, the President and First Lady of the United States will take their first dance. Ladies and gentlemen, the first couple, Donald and Melania Trump.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump having their second inaugural ball dance, again to My Way, this time an instrumental version, at the Freedom Ball in the Washington Convention Center. And this, of course, after a few remarks by the president. While we're watching the first couple dance, so let's turn now to some experts on everything that's happening tonight at all these inaugural balls and festivities, as well as everything that happened today. We have with us Jonathan Karl, who's been covering everything from start to finish. John, good to have you. Mark Updegrove is a presidential historian and director of the LBJ Library. And Kristen Solis Anderson is a pollster and political writer. I'm curious, as we watch them, you just heard some comments from the president there. We took it right up as he was talking again about the dishonest media, but there was a lot of red meat in that inaugural speech today, and I'm hearing from a lot of people anecdotally and reading a lot online. What were your reactions to it? I'm hearing the word dystopian. I'm hearing the word dark. I'm hearing the word red meat.
It's the type of speech that you might have heard Donald Trump give at a rally, albeit a little more polished and on a teleprompter, but he used a lot of the same themes that he's talked about before, painting a picture of an America that is going through a very difficult time, that is in a very dark moment. But for Donald Trump, this is also paired with a type of optimism. He's going to make America great again. So he creates that contrast between the negative and where he thinks things are now and this positive promised land he's promising to bring us to. But of course, his speech included a lot of very lofty promises. It's not clear if everybody listening to the speech believes that he'll be able to achieve them.
Mark, you've studied these inaugural addresses. Have you ever heard one like this one?
Not like this one, David, no. It was very popular. Well, no, not, you don't, before there was a camera, you don't know what the inflection was, but frankly, even the message itself, very populist. You mentioned dystopian, a little dark. It was certainly a great rallying cry for the people who voted for him, the forgotten man. I don't think it was unifying. It lacked a conciliatory tone to make it a unifying speech to rally all of Americans.
I was struck today that when he first began signing some of his executive first official paperwork, that he was surrounded by the Trump family. I mean, this really has become the family business, trying to get him elected, and now look what's happened. He's the 45th president of the United States, John.
Handing him the
pens. Fighting over the pens. Nancy
Right.
Pelosi even handing a pen over. But look tonight, surrounded by his family on that stage, John.
And his business is a family business, and now he's moving into the White House. He's got a new business. It's hard to imagine that he won't be relying on the same people that he relied on to help get him where he is. And, you know, look, right outside the Oval Office is an office that'll be held by Jared Kushner, his son-in-law.
Eric and Don Jr. were on the campaign trail the entire time he was campaigning.
And they're going to be off running the business, but I mean, I'm sure they're going to be in touch. But coming back to the speech, I got to tell you, I mean, it was just stunning to be there, seeing them kind of welcomed by the establishment. They have arrived. They're welcomed by former presidents of both parties, the current congressional leadership, but also the past speakers and Senate leaders. And now this guy that had been seen as a pariah has been welcomed. He's taking the oath of office. And what did he do? He just went after them, a blistering attack on the political establishment in both parties. That was not a conservative speech. It was not a liberal speech. It wasn't a Republican speech. It wasn't a Democratic speech. It was a populist speech taking aim at all of the people that were sitting around him.
I will say, John, there was a little bit of grace after the luncheon when the toast was made to Donald Trump and he made brief remarks. He did recognize Hillary Clinton. So you saw two different Donald Trumps today. You saw the
Exactly.
one who
We were,
delivered.
we were saying the same thing
Right.
because I was surprised not to hear any mention of her in the inaugural speech since she was sitting 10 feet away from him.
Right.
And you were so aware of the dynamics of what she must have felt sitting there and watching him be inaugurated.
There was a dichotomy between the two.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't forget, Barack Obama was also sitting there very close by as Donald Trump's speech really painted this very negative picture of the country that he was inheriting. But there
American
were also
carnage.
these beautiful moments of grace throughout the day of the incoming president and first lady bringing that Tiffany's box, giving them a present, the gracious waving goodbye on the chopper. Lots of nice moments as well mixed into a day that will go down in history for sure.
A lot more to talk about. Our live coverage is just beginning tonight, and we're looking forward to diving into the politics of it all. Fashion Melissa Rivers is even here tonight to talk about the first family and what they're wearing at the balls tonight as we continue with our live coverage of the inauguration of Donald J. Trump.
Mr. Trump, excuse me, President Trump, my hope for you is
that you protect the rights and liberties of women, minorities,
protect the ideals of our country.
To bring us together as a country.
I would just like him to know that we're rooting for him.
Some voices from across America this week with what they hope for our new president, President Trump. Cecilia Vega is at the Freedom Ball tonight, and one of Trump's ball guests is with her.
Hey, Elizabeth David, thank you. Take a look at who I've got here. Actor Scott Baio.
Hey.
Do I get to call you Chachi?
No.
Okay, so I won't call you
They
Chachi.
call me a President Trump supporter.
Good day to be a President Trump supporter. Best thing about today?
Watching him being sworn in after all the, everybody made fun of him and mocked him and derided him and said he was a joke. To see him put his hand on the Bible from Abraham Lincoln and be sworn as the 45th president was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
I gotta ask you, there aren't a lot of celebrities here. You're the big one. Is it tough being a celebrity supporter of Trump?
It can be. We're not a lot of us. John Voight is here, I saw, and I saw some other people. Stephen Boll, my friend, is here. Antonio Sabato's here. And sometimes, we catch a lot of flack, but I really don't care anymore.
First thing you want to see Donald Trump do on day one?
I want to see him start building the wall.
Scott, good to see you tonight. Thank you. Elizabeth and David, back to you guys.
All right, Cecilia, thanks so much. The balls for Washington, D.C. and inauguration is their Oscar night, a chance to show their style and also pay respects to the First Lady, to make a statement. We're here with Melissa Rivers tonight, who's going to weigh in. She's known for fashion policing.
How are you?
How are you? Great to have you with us here in
Good. You
Washington.
guys look very fresh and excited.
You know what?
Well, the First Lady looks gorgeous tonight.
Oh my! But she's been knocking it out of the park this entire last few days, from the gorgeous Reem Acra to today, which I thought she looked gorgeous in the Ralph Lauren.
Well, that powder blue suit. Well, here she is, first of all, in tonight's ball gown, which we were originally told by the pool reporters that was designed by Carolina Herrera.
And now
we're not so sure it might be one of her designers.
Well, we're hearing now it's a man named Hervé Pierre, who is the former creative director of Carolina Herrera. Again, that's all unconfirmed.
But it's important to point out that Carolina Herrera, at least, is considered an American designer, even though she is an immigrant, because the First Ladies do wear American designers, and it would have been quite a statement if she didn't.
It's very important for them to do that. It'll be interesting. If it is this gentleman, Hervé Pierre, it will be like launching a new designer, kind of like what Michelle Obama did for Jason Wu. But Carolina Herrera has gotten a ton of play this whole week, thanks to Ivanka, who's wearing Carolina. But, I mean, the focus is all on Melania. And granted, she's tall and she's thin and she's gorgeous and she's a model. And she's got such a sleek, clean, sort of very Jackie O American style.
Well, it's funny you say that, because there were a lot of comparisons today to her suit, the Ralph Lauren powder blue suit, to one that Jackie Onassis Kennedy wore. Jackie Kennedy
Onassis.
She wasn't Onassis at that point.
But it's so
Jackie
hard
Kennedy
to keep it
wore.
straight, yes.
In that, look how similar in both style, perhaps, and mostly in color, and in her inauguration in 1961.
Well, I thought the Ralph Lauren suit was gorgeous. I loved sort of the new take on the jacket, which was cropped and sort of asymmetrical. We've seen a lot of asymmetrical this week on her.
We have.
Again, people are saying Jackie O, Jackie O. You know, they're both doing a modern classic. They're both young women stepping into the role of First Lady. They're both looking for classics with a modern twist. At the time, Jackie Kennedy was considered very modern. A lot of people are talking about that Melania had the matching shoes and are saying that's old-fashioned. I liked it. I thought it was just a beautiful take. I loved the hair. The jewelry was perfect. You know, again, you just look at that and you go, wow.
Yeah, and no matter how you look at it, people are drawn to the First Lady and what she's wearing and the statement she'll make with that. But what Americans, a lot of them don't know yet, is what kind of role she's going to play in the White House. She talked a little bit on the campaign about bullying on social media. A lot of people, a lot of skeptics said, well, you know, Donald Trump is known for what he has done on Twitter and the voice that he has on Twitter. So we'll see if she continues to campaign on that front as First Lady. But make no mistake, everyone was watching her, at least today, with how she was stepping out and how she would present herself.
And remember, they can create, I mean, Michelle Obama put Jason Wu on the map.
Yes.
And by the way, it was a lovely gesture that she wore Jason Wu in her first
in the end,
inauguration.
it was full circle.
And today,
wore
which is a lovely nod and a thank you to him. The one everyone is talking about, though,
Kellyanne Conway.
Kellyanne Conway.
Speaking of social media, it can be tough, right?
It blew up.
David, what did you think of it?
Yeah, you know what? That's why Melissa's here.
Well, it's been interesting because she seems to be channeling a lot of different things. The cast of Hamilton, the New England Patriots logo, a hot dog on a stick.
But by the way, this is a Gucci coat.
It's a Gucci coat
for nearly $4,000.
I actually thought she looked like the Nutcracker. I'm not sure why she felt compelled to add the hat and the gloves because, you know, I guess the coat alone wasn't enough. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out she looked beautiful the night before in that red dress, so we know she's got it in her.
Celebrating her birthday the night before.
No, I think actually her birthday, they were saying, is today.
He brought her up on the stage.
Oh, yes, he did, to wish her happy birthday.
Yeah.
This was just a fail. I mean, and it's got
well,
it's got
everyone's tough enough to handle the social media.
Yeah, it's got cat buttons.
Kellyanne Conway can handle it.
I don't think you should bring whimsy to the swearing in. And I think it's a little whimsical for that.
Well, we'll see what she's wearing at the inaugural balls tonight as well.
I'm thinking probably not that coat.
Right. All right, thank you so much, Melissa. When we return, a journey to the Capitol for some of the president's most devoted voters, the Trumpettes, as they're called. And, of course, more on the inaugural balls as we cover the first day of a seat change in the American presidency.
A Trump presidency to me is strength and justice.
I want people to have pride again, to be an American.
President Trump, we're going to hold you to your word.
Keep America great.
You know, for millions today all across this country, for some it's a day of uncertainty. For others, though you're hearing, it's a day of great hope, of feeling heard finally, looking forward to change. And many people hunger on both sides of the aisle for unity finally.
Absolutely. And tonight, there is a special group of President Trump's biggest cheerleaders. They call themselves the Trumpettes, believe it or not. And our Nick Watt has followed them all the way to the Capitol for tonight's celebrations. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Elizabeth and David. Well, the crowds on the Mall today were not quite as big as they have been in years past, but there were plenty of passionate people who travelled from all over the country to be here to celebrate, and we embedded with some of them for the ride. Hundreds of thousands of people braved mild temperatures and a light drizzle on the Mall.
Ladies, come on over for a sec.
Among them, Lisa, a self-styled Trumpette from Pennsylvania.
I believe Mr. Trump, President Trump, will go down as the most beloved president in history.
We first met her and the gang at the Frock store back home.
You don't want to look better than Melania. That's right.
Lisa is going to the ball. This morning we caught them before they left. Harrisburg, 04:45 a.m. and there's a wrinkle.
Cynthia, one of our friends, is not here yet.
Cynthia? Nope, back to voicemail again.
A winner!
Drinking Prosecco all the way. At least most of them made it to D.C.
There are a lot of people, women, coming to Washington not to celebrate but to protest. What's your message to them?
We'd love to talk to them. I am sure that if you talk to us, they'll fall in love with Donald Trump just like we did. And he had wonderful hair.
Can we get one? Map?
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I don't think there's a catchy handle for male Trumpettes anyway. Meet Juan.
God, there are a lot of people here.
DC neophyte, never been, elbowed his way to the front, filmed this himself, and loving it. We first met Juan back home in Santa Clara, California,
just before he left.
So I get to wear all my Trump gear instead of all my rainbow gear.
Juan is a gay man of Mexican descent, not the only guy in that demo to support Trump.
There's one in Los Angeles. I know that.
You're not alone, Juan.
I'm not alone.
What does he want from the president?
I want him to protect our borders. I believe in him. I believe in Trump 100%.
Half his extended family gathered for their monthly get-together.
Is anybody here never going to talk to Juan again because he's going to the inauguration?
Not because of that.
Juan worked on the Trump campaign, so he's invited. Oh, wow, you've got some pretty good seats. There's a lot of packing to be done, a haircut.
Ready to go.
Tux to collect. We're talking at least 2 outfits a day for a long weekend, but the preps did not go entirely smoothly.
I don't know where my bow tie is.
Here in D.C., it's all about hats. I've never seen so many red baseball caps in one place in my life.
It's pretty appealing, isn't it?
Juan's highlight so far?
When it started to rain.
You liked it when it started to rain?
Because someone sat up there and they said rain is a blessing.
Now, remember this morning one Trumpette overslept? We found her. Cynthia, you missed the bus.
Yeah.
How did you get down here?
I would have hitched a ride on a bird to be sure I would be here.
Actually, she drove to Maryland, parked, took the metro. Anyway.
I was right there. I was hooting and hollering, screaming like an idiot.
And Juan mercifully will not look underdressed. He found his bow tie.
And guys, I am in a Trumpette sandwich. You guys made it. Cynthia, you made it. What is it? What is it about this guy that gets you so fired up?
He speaks the truth. He's a straight shooter, and that's what I love about President Trump.
Well, I'll tell you what, he threw his hat in the ring. My 14-year-old nephew Eli said he's the one. He picked him.
There you go.
I ran with it, and I opened my mind, listened to what he had to say.
All right.
And he's in the White House.
We'll maybe see you back here in 4 years. David, Elizabeth.
Sure will.
In the meantime, back to you.
Looks
All
like
right,
you made some
Nick.
friends there, Nick.
Don't stay out too late with the Trump hats. At any rate, as we know, emotions are running high. There are lots of people in a celebratory mood tonight, but others, however, have been out protesting. Remember, about a third of the Democrats in Congress were choosing not to attend the inauguration ceremony, and many protests have been underway tonight and tomorrow. A huge one is scheduled here in the Capitol. Matt Gutman has been following all of it. Matt?
That's right, David and Elizabeth, and some of those protests have been violent. Riot police like these have been squaring off against protesters here at Franklin Square most of the day. You can see those street cleaners still cleaning up after the melee. Now, it's been a cat and mouse game between those protesters and the riot police. Those rioters in black gear, they smashed this limo, then set it on fire, then took hammers and crowbars that they came with to smash the windows. Starbucks, a McDonald's, and other stores. It took that brigade of riot gear using pepper spray, chemical spray, and that cascade of flashbangs to vacate them and push them back. Still, we're told that 6 officers have been injured. Now, police tell us that not all of the protests have been violent. Some of them were peaceful. Protesters stopped an interstate not far from here. Others just simply marched down the city's grand avenues, but we're told the biggest protest by far, the Women's March on Washington, slated for tomorrow. Hundreds of thousands expected to be back here in Washington. In fact, we're told there are more bus passes registered for tomorrow's event than for the entire inauguration today. David, Elizabeth.
All right, Matt Gutman there on the streets of Washington, D.C. is going to be covering this all through the weekend. Big crowds expected tomorrow for that. When we come back here, it's back to the inaugural balls and the military ball where President Trump and the First Lady have just arrived, and we'll take you there live. When we come back with a live edition of 2020, the inauguration of Donald J. Trump.
My hope for the president is for his success.
I hope that you make college more affordable.
I expect you to inspire the American people, but still support the diversity and individualism that makes this country the greatest in the world.
We are back now after hearing more voices from across America about the new President Trump. And we've been looking in at all the celebrations. It's an evening of celebrations. And of course, we're going now to the third ball, the Armed Services Ball, where President Trump and the First Lady have just arrived. It's at the National Building Museum. Bob Woodruff is in the crowd waiting for the President and the First Lady to make his way out on stage.
Now, Elizabeth, you know, all these veterans, these active duty service members have been waiting here for almost 5 hours to get this chance. They feel so proud to get this honor to actually be here and watch the new president and his wife, the First Lady, walk in, the Vice President as well, of course. Now, when the President gets here, he's going to come out right here to the center, and he's going to start to speak, to talk, and he's going to look up at all of these TV screens around the side because they're going live through satellites to bases in Iraq and in Afghanistan to talk to those who are serving our country in those areas right now. After that, the President and the First Lady will have the chance to dance with two veterans. Also, the Vice President and the First Lady also dance. So 4 veterans will have the chance to dance with them. I interviewed all of them, and I said, well, how were you chosen? They got the word just at the end of November. It was not because they're great dancers. They said they're not great dancers. I said, well, how are you going to do this? Did you already practice for it? And they said, no, the President's going to take the lead. And we'll see exactly what happens. And I'm also I'm happy, Elizabeth, you did not ask me about any fashion because I know nothing about it. You can ask my gal.
Leave me out here. Hang me out to dry, Bob.
You and David are both off the fashion hook. But, Bob, I'm curious, you know, with those live via satellite feeds to military bases and installations all over the world, I mean, this is going to be a pretty significant speech. We know there's a lot of, President Trump has enormous respect for the military forces who are out serving, even though he might have in the past criticized some generals.
Yeah, he's been very supportive of the military. I talked to a lot of my friends here, and they said, listen, they're behind him. But of course, these are those that have been invited specifically, given free tickets, so they're certainly on President Trump's side. But they will have this chance now to actually see him and look at him very close and see what he has to say. But, you know, he's the commander-in-chief. This is the group that is very important for him to talk to, and they are very much by his side.
Hey, Bob, you know that along the campaign, it was a very heated campaign, a very bruising campaign in this country, 18 months. A lot of people are very glad that it's over. But at one point, Donald Trump did say, now he's the 45th president, that he knew more than the generals. But you can see by the scope of the crowd there, and as Elizabeth was saying, you know, members of the armed forces have been quite supportive of President Trump. It doesn't seem to be that they hold him responsible for some of the rhetoric, the heated rhetoric along the way, particularly when he did criticize the generals.
You know, the president has certainly been supported by all the veterans. You know, he's had some very interesting positions on it. He's the one that, you know, changed the budget. He wants to put more money into the military. He wants to open more for the Navy and the Army. He wants to make a more powerful military than we have in the past. So they're looking at that right now, and there's a very conservative group in many ways that wants something changed significantly in this country, and that's the ones that I spoke to. And you got to remember, too, that there's not just those who are active duty, those who are wounded here that are not active anymore, and also those first responders are here, those who have saved lives. They, too, really believe that President Trump is going to change things for them, too. And so there's a great deal of hope in this group. This is not exactly the protesters, let's put it that way. These are supporters, and they are just looking for this to happen.
Can't wait to see those veterans up on stage. They're putting a lot of trust in the president to let him lead the dance.
I was going to say,
have they been watching the other two balls?
Yeah.
He's doing pretty well so far. But in the meantime, Bob, we'll check back in with you if we see the president there behind you shortly. Let's go to Cecilia Vega. She's at the Freedom Ball, though, in the meantime. And Cecilia, we saw that first dance of the night right there behind you.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me from in here. The party is still going a little bit behind me. You can't really see a lot of people dancing. Where they are, I've got to tell you, in this huge room here at the bar. They got what they came for. They got to see that big arrival on stage, the president and the first lady out here, and of course that dance, a family affair, everyone out there. And I will tell you, from a completely unbiased political opinion, I am totally coveting Ivanka's dress. Carolina Herrera, princess with rhinestones, every cell phone was out here, absolutely stunning. This party is starting to wind down, but I think everybody in here had a really good time. This was a core group of volunteers in here, delegates from all over the country, 22,000 people just in this arena alone, guys. Big party out here tonight.
All right, Cecilia, thanks so much. You look gorgeous, by the way, tonight.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Cecilia.
And in the meantime, all the action has, as Cecilia said, moved across town to the Armed Services Ball. We'll be checking in there moments away now from President Trump and the First Lady taking the stage.
The veterans who get to dance with the president.
That's right. It's 4 of them.
Mr. President, my hope for you is to stop tweeting.
I ask you to not discriminate against us.
Look past the divisive language that you've used in this campaign.
At the end of the day, we're all Americans, so we'll figure out a way to work together.
President Trump is the first of his kind in many ways, not just the tweeting. He has never held political office. He's the oldest new president, and he's a billionaire, as well as 3 times married, whose presidential campaign obviously broke many, many rules. As you've heard, his first dance was to the song My Way.
And if you really want him to stop tweeting, don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
Even Tom Llamas will tell you that, because he's been covering this campaign from the very start. And really, anyone who thought that Donald Trump couldn't pull this off shouldn't be surprised if you take a look at his career.
It is truly incredible. You know, there's 2 things I learned from covering Donald Trump for 18 months. 1, he's never boring, and 2, he'll never be low energy. And you're right, he has never held public office. He is not a politician. But you could argue tonight that in many ways he's planned his whole life around this moment, and he's prepared very closely.
Yes, it's true. Donald J. Trump was sworn in today as the 45th President of the United States, even though he was dismissed by some as a clown just 18 months ago. But could all that mockery actually have helped him?
That's what he wants. He likes when there's a built-in enemy, you know, and it also sets him up as an underdog to prove them wrong.
Ad man Donnie Deutsch has known President Trump since the days Trump was pitching pizza on TV.
Since when do I care what people think? Donald Trump at his core is and always will be a salesman.
English professor Mark Bauerlein, a pro-Trump academic, says Trump's brilliance is in his simplicity of message.
When you have a huge population, you have to carve the message down into very basic, simple expressions.
We will make America great, great, great again.
And his selling style is what separates him from the pack.
We can be #1 again.
The new president may live on Fifth Avenue, but his act has always been worthy of Hollywood.
Today, one man has become synonymous with success.
That would be me.
Donald Trump reminds me of Lady Gaga.
Columnist Dan Henninger of the Wall Street Journal says Trump isn't just a performer.
Wow.
He's a performance artist. There's a difference.
A performance artist challenges people. They challenge convention. They try to alter your perceptions about the way things are. And Trump, with his stage acts, his rallies, and his tweets, is obviously challenging us all the time.
But remember, Trump's bonfire of the pieties has been blazing for years. This is, after all, a businessman who found it suitable to appear in WWE's WrestleMania.
Donald Trump has been around for 25, 30 years. Something clicked this time.
He talks like this. He still talks like he's from Queens, and he doesn't speak perfectly.
I didn't say that!
And he speaks very politically incorrectly.
Wow, that was a hell of...
It's amazing when they did research, and a lot of people say, well, I trust him because he says it like it is.
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
But a Trump performance is about more than tone. It's about the shrewd and shameless use of hyperbole.
I will build a great, great wall.
He just starts off with the big sales pitch. So if he's building a building and you go, how many stories is this building? Oh, it's going to be 170, even if it's 47.
Impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful.